Okay.
At this stage of the yoga, and even throughout the yoga, this form of desire, this figure of the ego, is the enemy against whom we have to be always on our guard with an unsleeping vigilance. We need not be discouraged when we find him lurking within us and assuming all sorts of disguises, but we should be vigilant to detect him in all his masks and inexorable in expelling his influence. The illumining word of this movement is the decisive line of the Gita: to action thou hast a right, but never under any circumstances to its fruit. The fruit belongs solely to the Lord of all works. Our only business with it is to prepare the success by a true and careful action and to offer it, if it comes, to the Divine Master. Afterwards, even as we have renounced attachment to the fruit, we must renounce attachment to the work. At any moment, we must be prepared to change one work, one course, or one field of action for another, or abandon all works if that is the clear command of the Master. Otherwise we do the act not for his sake, but for our satisfaction and pleasure in the work, from the kinetic nature's need of action or for the fulfillment of our propensities. But these are all stations and refuges of the ego. However necessary for our ordinary motion of life, they have to be abundant in the growth of the spiritual consciousness and replaced by divine counterparts. An ananda, an impersonal and God directed delight, will cast out or supplant the unillumined vital satisfaction and pleasure, a joyful driving of the divine energy, the kinetic need. The fulfillment of the propensities will no longer be an object or a necessity. There will be instead the fulfillment of the divine will through the natural dynamic truth in action of a free soul and a luminous nature. In the end, as the attachment to the fruit of the work and to the work itself has been excised from the heart, so also the last clinging attachment to the idea and sense of ourselves as the doer has to be relinquished. The divine Shakti must be known and felt above and within us as the true and sole worker.
Okay. So we go back to the beginning of the text. So at this stage of the yoga, so what is that stage? So we have to go back to the previous para's summary. Okay. So I'm reading out the previous para's summary so that we get the context. As long as we are in the ignorance of level 1, we can do the work, however imperfect and limited, only to the best of our ability. We can't get the supreme will, we don't know. So we, according to our best ability, we have to always act at the height of one's consciousness. Man feels that this work that he is doing with some idealism is the most important and the noblest, but ignores the spirit in which the work should be done. This work that he does is shaped by various limited ideals. There can be, first of all, a sense of duty. This is something that I have to do. Or it can be the sense of helping others. Okay? I have to help others. The idea, the next third is the idea of what is good for others. Or fourth one, or the good for the world. Okay? Or the guidance of the human preceptor who will be for us the representative of the Lord. So this is what they are saying, that all these ideas, they are very noble ideas, but they are not really spiritual. Okay, what happened? I seem to have lost it. Anyway, it is there. So, ah, so that is what he is saying. Okay, so so this is the state. So this state of consciousness in which you are doing something noble, you think, but actually it is, there is an underlying, the attitude is there is a satisfaction, egoistic satisfaction. Okay. We saw yesterday not yesterday, last time, the Uttarpada speech, where Sri Aurobindo himself acknowledges that I was doing work for the country and I was surprised when I was put into jail and I asked Sri Aurobindo, I asked Sri Krishna, what have you done to me? Then it was explained to him that there is a slight egoistic satisfaction involved. Very high idealistic aim in life. He sacrificed everything, his job, his everything, family, and he was doing. Still, it's not really spiritual if the attitude is not the right one. Okay, so that's what he admits in the Uttarpada speech. Very high level, even then. So, in this state of consciousness, that state of consciousness when you are doing something very noble and yet there is a self-satisfaction in that, very subtle self-satisfaction can be there. In this state of consciousness, the infinite becomes to us the primal, the actual reality, the one thing immediately and sensibly true. Okay, your limited thing disappears. It becomes impossible for us to think of or realize the finite apart from our fundamental sense of the where is it gone? In the fundamental sense of the infinite. So, in which alone the finite can live, can form itself, can have any reality or duration. All petty, small motives, all those things disappear altogether. That's what Sridhar is saying. The infinite only is real and the finite disappears. So long as this finite mind and body are to our consciousness the first fact of our existence, which means that we identify ourselves with the body, mind, life, and the foundation of all our thinking, feeling, and willing. And so long as things finite are the normal reality from which we can rise occasionally or even frequently to an idea and sense of the infinite, we are still very far away from the gnosis. Okay, so in other words, so long as you think that the appearances in the physical world, the forms, are the reality, and secondly, you are identified with your body, mind, life, you are very, very far away from the gnosis. Even if you have had spiritual experiences, that's what Sridhar is saying. In the plane of the gnosis, the infinite is at once our normal consciousness of being. So, in the plane of the gnosis, when you are in the even when you are in the cosmic consciousness, the infinite is more real to you than the finite. But it may be partial or it may be experienced in bits and pieces. But when you go to the supermind, it is absolutely permanent. The sense of the infinite is permanent. That's what it is. So, if not, we are still very far away from the gnosis. In the plane of the gnosis, the infinite is at once our normal consciousness of being, its first fact, our sensible substance. This substance of the infinite is very, 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 very subtle. But that's the truth. That's what we experience. It is very concretely to us there, the foundation from which everything finite forms itself, and its boundless, incalculable forces are the origination of all our thought, will, and delight. You see that everything is coming from that. That's the origin.
Gangadhar, are you reading? Are you reading the summary or you are reading this para?
No,
this is not the para which.
I am reading the para. My summary.
No, this is not the para.
Oh, I'm
At
sorry.
this stage of yoga is the para.
Yeah.
Next para, I think, Rangadhar, you are reading.
I will like this once again. That summary that I was doing has disappeared. I'll have to redo it, and that's why I got confused. So the para which I have to read now is in this state of consciousness.
No, at this stage of yoga.
Oh, just 1 second. Okay. You know, I don't have the book now, so I see only one page at a time and not even the full page. So it gets complicated. Yeah. at this stage. Okay, I'll read that. What is the page number, Pallavi?
222.
Oh, my computer has jumped. I'm in page 494. That's why. I didn't even.
Yes.
1 second, no? 2. And I didn't even notice that it had jumped. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, now, just once again, since I was reading the summary, let me see whether the summary is there now. Yeah. There's a lot there. Okay, so I continue reading the summary and then I'll come to this at this stage. Okay, so we read up to we do action by the sense of duty or the sense of helping others or the idea of what is good for others or for the good of the world. All these things we follow. Okay, so then this yeah. 2. Somebody there, down here. That's right. So he's saying, whatever be the source of action, we just several sources of action, helping others, helping mankind, helping the country, okay, helping something, what you think is the right thing to do, whatever be the source of action, the basic principle is the same. The work may be great or insignificant, but the spirit behind the work should always be the renunciation of desire for the fruit of the work, nishkama karma. So whether the work is small or big is not the thing. You can even be wiping the floor in dining hall or simply wiping the dishes, okay? That also, but you get a satisfaction that, I've done the work very well. That should not be there. Now, or the vast work of trying to get freedom for the country, okay? So the spirit is the same. You do it without desire. There should never be any attachment to the work itself. At any time, if circumstances necessitate the giving up of the work, there should never be any attachment, no hankering, no sense of deprivation. It should be glad, calm, withdrawal. So the example that we were seeking, Sri Aurobindo in the independence of India. Okay, he himself says that there was a little bit of a resentment when he was put into jail. The sacrifice of the Karma Yoga should always be directed to the divine. But the presence of lingering attachment to that particular work indicates that the work we are doing is for egoistic self-satisfaction and not for the divine. But this truth may not be easy to see and we are only deceiving ourselves. We may fool ourselves by thinking that it is for the divine or the larger collectivity outside ourselves. Then the divine is only a mask for our ego. Okay, that's what he's saying. Now, I read the para that we have to read at this stage of the yoga. So you are at a stage where you have experienced quite a lot, but still that lingering attachment to the work is there. That's the stage. At this stage of the yoga, and even throughout the yoga, this form of desire, this figure of the ego, is a figure of the ego, is not the ego itself, but it's a very faint shadow of the ego which is there in the self-satisfaction of the work that you are doing. This figure of the ego is the enemy against whom we have to be always on our guard with an unsleeping vigilance. It comes in very, very subtle ways. We need not be discouraged when we find him lurking within us and assuming all sorts of disguises. Okay? But we can, with our honesty and straightforward frankness, we can uncover his disguise. Okay? And then there is really a satisfaction that, oh, so how the capacity to fool ourselves is really very, very great in the vital. And assuming all sorts of disguises. You remember, Siddhanta used the word charlatan, imposter. The vital does all sorts of tricks to deceive. But we should be vigilant to detect him in all his masks and inexorable in expelling his influence. The illumining word of this movement is the decisive line of the Gita. To action thou hast a right, but never under any circumstances to the fruit. Karmanyevadhikarasya ma phaleshu padachana. The fruit belongs solely to the Lord of all works. Our only business with it is to prepare success by true and careful action and to offer it, if it comes, to the Divine Master. What if it comes? The success. If the success doesn't come also, you should remain absolutely unperturbed and not discouraged. But if it comes also, don't take the credit for it, give it to the Lord, to the Divine Master. Afterwards, even as we have renounced attachment to the fruit, we must renounce attachment to the work itself. At any moment, we must be prepared to change one's work, one course or one field of action for another, or abandon all works if that is a clear command of the Master. Give up all work. Okay, in fact, in Srimada's case also that happened. He was sent away to Pondicherry and he had no work at all. Okay, no work that he was doing before. So he started reading the Vedas. He started the Rig Vedas. He started studying Tamil. He started studying. Okay. And most of the time he was walking up and down, concentrating in Pondicherry at that time. 1910 to for quite a few years he was doing that. Then, otherwise, so where's it gone? Afterwards, even as we have renounced attachment to the fruit, we must renounce attachment to the work itself. At no moment we must be prepared to change one work, one course or one field of action for another, or abandon all works if that is a clear command of the Master. Otherwise, we do the act not for his sake, but for our satisfaction and pleasure in the work. There is an attachment to the work, then we are doing it for ourselves. From the kinetic nature's need of action, or for the fulfillment of our propensities. So one is your active nature. Active means Rajasic nature. It is forcing you to act. Okay, that's one way you continue to work. Or for the fulfillment of our propensities. The capacities that we have, we are trying to develop that. If the ego is there. But these are all stations and refuges of the ego. Okay, refuge of the ego. However necessary for our ordinary motion of life, they have to be abandoned in the growth of the spiritual consciousness and replaced by direct divine counterparts. Replaced by divine counterparts. And Ananda, an impersonal and God-directed delight, will cast out or supplant the unillumined vital satisfaction and pleasure. That self-satisfaction that you are getting from the ego will go away and it will be a motiveless, causeless, no cause at all. Ananda will be there. Ananda usually at our level comes with a cause. There is a reason for it, a source. But this Ananda, bliss, will never have a source. It comes by itself, unasked. A joyful driving of the divine energy, the kinetic need. So, when we get that, when we are absolutely egoless, you will be doing the work only for the divine, and the divine will, the enjoyment of that will give you the kinetic need, the need to act. Okay? The fulfillment of the propensities will no longer be an object or a necessity. There will be instead the fulfillment of the divine will through the natural dynamic truth in action of a free soul and a luminous nature. In other words, our action will continue to be very energetic, but now it will be not for developing our own powers and capacities and inherent lying inherent powers in us, but we will be doing it for the divine. Through the natural dynamic truths in action of a free soul and a luminous nature. In the end, as the attachment to the work, to the fruit of the work, and to the work itself has been excised from the heart, cut out. Okay, so he's using a very strong word, excised from the heart, because these things are the clinging. He has used the word clinging also. So also, the last clinging attachment to the idea and sense of ourselves as the doer has to be relinquished. The idea that I am doing the work and I have to take credit for it completely disappears. It has to go. Okay. Otherwise, you know that it's still, ego is still there. As the doer has to be relinquished. The divine Shakti must be known and felt above and within us as a true and soul worker. So, the sense of doership has to completely vanish. Now, we come to the next para, the renunciation of attachment to the work. So, now, Pallavi can read now. There is an understanding between Archanadi and Pallavi. So, yeah, go ahead.
The renunciation of attachment to the work and its fruit is the beginning of a wide movement towards an absolute equality in the mind and soul, which must become all-enveloping if we are to be perfect in the spirit. For the worship of the Master of Works demands a clear recognition and glad acknowledgement of Him in ourselves, in all things and in all happenings. Equality is the sign of this adoration. It is the soul's ground on which true sacrifice and worship can be done. The Lord is there equally in all beings. We have to make no essential distinctions between ourselves and others, the wise and the ignorant, friend and enemy, man and animal, the saint and the sinner. We must hate none, despise none, be repelled by none, for in all we have to see the one disguised or manifested at his pleasure. He is a little revealed in one or more revealed in another, or concealed and wholly distorted in others, according to his will and his knowledge of what is best for that which he intends to become in form in them, and to do in works in their nature. All is ourself, one self that has taken many shapes. Hatred and disliking and scorn and repulsion, clinging and attachment and preference are natural, necessary, inevitable at a certain stage. They attend upon or they help to make and maintain nature's choice in us. But to the Karma Yogin, they are a survival, a stumbling block, a process of the ignorance, and as he progresses, they fall away from his nature. The child soul needs them for its growth, but they drop from an adult in the divine culture. In the God nature to which we have to rise, there can be an adamantine, even a destructive severity, but not hatred, a divine irony, but not scorn, a calm, clear-seeing and forceful rejection, but not repulsion and dislike. Even what we have to destroy, we must not abhor or fail to recognize as a disguised and temporary movement of the eternal.
Very interesting paragraph, and a lot of things are there. Okay. Have a look quickly, and I think we'll be able to finish. The renunciation of attachment to work and its fruit is the beginning of a wide movement towards an absolute equality in the mind and soul, which must become all-enveloping if we are to be perfect in the spirit. Look at he is saying mind and soul. Okay? First of all, the samatha comes in the inner being. Okay? then finally it manifests in the outer. Sometimes in the outer, you may still not have the samatha, but it has to come, it is there fully in the inner being. Okay, this is a very interesting thing. How first of all it is there in the inner being. We feel that the inner is perfect. It's not. Huh? All the attachments and all that can also be there in the body, mind, life indeed. But the outer nature is the last to change. We have to.
Rangada,
Yes. Sir.
how do you recognize the difference between inner samatha and outer samatha? I mean, outer samatha we don't have, but inner samatha, how do we recognize?
I think with experience, you will feel it not so important, and you will still feel that the lingering attachment to things, desires may be there, but you will feel somewhere that it is not so important anymore. The strings of the desire are getting frayed. They become less and less holding on you. So when
But
feel,
that may be a divine disgust, no? Not a samatha.
Yeah, that's right.
In practice.
Yeah. One has to only experience it, then it becomes clear.
Okay.
You can't recognize when we are in our normal consciousness, we can't recognize that. But it is at generally speaking at quite a high level. Okay. So that's what he's saying. Now, for the worship of the master, yeah.
We can say samatha is like when your heartbeat increases for unnecessary things, your samatha is gone, and when you are peace at any level, the samatha is there with you.
Yes, that is okay. When there is a violence.
That is the outer samatha.
In
The
fact,
outer one.
Heartbeats, our heartbeats increase and everything happens. We can feel that vibration in our body. When we get angry, we feel that we are shaking, we become red. All this is because inner we have some inner from it. It comes from inside only, no. So when at any moment we are in a peace, still, quiet, that is a samatha. Whatever loss we occur, somebody blame us. Somebody,
Rangada,
yes, tell me.
That may be
can
a disguise only.
Shilpa is talking of the non-samatha. Okay, when your heart goes clearly that we are not. Okay.
That is the
Rangada,
outer samatha, no? Inner samatha is different.
No, so this is what I'll tell you. Sometimes you feel, Arey, I am still having this desire, but inside I am not at all bothered about it. Why is this desire still lingering in the outer nature? You feel like that. That is the inner samatha is growing. Okay.
Okay.
Rangada,
Yes, tell me, Archana.
can we say, I mean, just a way, that when we have to think or mentally we have to decide that, okay, this has happened, but we should not get worked. But then there are times, or there comes a stage, maybe, I don't know, but there are times when you don't have to think. You just accept it as something coming from the divine,
Yes.
negative or positive. So I
Yes.
think
but-
both the feelings are different. You
Yeah.
don't have to think in
But
much.
it
You
can,
don't have to take a mental decision.
Yeah.
Let me complete it.
but
Yes.
that
You
can
don't
be a
have to complete-
tamasic attitude also, no? That can be a tamasic attitude. It can come from tamas. They are not bothered in that
I think
sense.
the feeling is different, Pallavi. I can, I mean, I don't know how to put it. Maybe next time I'll get
No,
better.
no. What
No,
Pallavi is saying
maybe if you
is okay.
if
but
you have samatha with little pleasure or inner happiness, then maybe it is samatha. But if it is with little, won't care less attitude, then that may be a
Indifference.
tamasic thing.
Indifference.
Yes, indifference
Indifference.
thing. Yes.
So this what I'm
Yes.
telling you, it makes a difference. You see what is happening. You're not indifferent to it, but you accept it as it is coming from the divine. That means you're not knowing that it is something which should have hurt you, but you just accept it that it is coming from the divine without thinking, without consciously thinking it. I don't know how to put it.
No, that may be also that you are protecting yourself now not to be hurt. That also is there. So that inner samatha must be with some delight or some, inner peace, which should be, this is absolutely different from all this outer, tamasic or indifference or careless attitude, that is what I think.
There's a gradation between what you are saying, both of you. What both of you are saying is okay, but there's a gradation between the two. Okay, that
Yes,
one has to judge for oneself and see whether it is honest or not. Very often when this happens, you just don't make a clear judgment. You say, okay, it seems to be like this, but I want more clarity on it. And you pray for more clarity. Okay. But what Pallavi is saying about the tamasic, it is true that gross tamasic, yes, it is true. For instance, okay, somebody is sleeping and is a very tamasic person, and you insult him, it makes no difference to him. He's so tamasic. Okay. So that is real worst type of tamas. But even the most sensitive person, okay, there can be an element of tamas. In fact, Sridhar said very clearly that sattva, rajas, tamas are always there in everything, but in different proportions. Okay. It is true that even when I am quite unconcerned and I am very samatha is there, an element of tamas is there. Okay, you become absolutely free of all the gunas only when you go to the self. At that time, the samatha is perfect. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So long as we have an ego and we are still identified with the body, mind, life, samatha can never be perfect. They slowly progressing towards that. The perfect samatha is when you are absolutely unconcerned and you are in the self. You are in the Brahmic consciousness. Then you are this real samatha because you're not bothered at all. You're just watching everything. At our level, it does not happen like that. There's a gradation. Even what Arjuna is saying, we accept it calmly and quietly. That's the beginning of samatha. That's a great thing to accept quietly without much questioning. It's already a very advanced stage at the normal level 1. It is an advanced stage. Because normally you react, okay? But if the reaction is not there, it's already the beginning of something. Your progress is already starting. So,
but that not reacting to things, maybe it may be a cover for inner frustration and hiding of dislike or something.
Oh yes, what you're saying is true. The synthesis, if you remember, okay, there are many disguises of samatha. I'll give one or two. Okay, I'll give you one or two which Sridhar has given himself. Okay, one is that that story of the fox and the sour grapes. Okay, the fox is jumping to get the grapes and does not succeed, and the fox comforts itself and consoles itself by saying, "Arey, why am I bothering so much about it? They are sour anyway." Okay, so this is a self-deceit. You wanted it and you didn't get it. So now you say, oh, it doesn't make any difference to me. Okay?
Yes.
This is one disguise of samatha. Okay. The other disguise of samatha is pride. Okay. You wanted to win and you don't win, and you console yourself by saying, oh, it doesn't make any difference to me. It doesn't matter. That's also a disguise of samatha. So samatha has got many disguises. That's exactly what we've been talking about, the disguises. Huh? So all this is there. Or there's also the tamasic attitude. It makes no difference to you because you're tamasic, tremendously tamasic. So all these are disguises of the tamasa, the samatha. The real samatha is only when you go to you lose your identification with body, mind, life, and you go to the self. There it is really samatha.
So at present, we can say that samatha is an inner peace which is unshakable by the any type of outer circumstances, not tamasic way, but another way.
Yes, that will be the perfect thing. But so long as you think you are in the body, mind, life, it is impossible to get samatha. You can try to develop it. That helps. Okay, so let's see what he's saying here. Okay, equality is a sign of this adoration. Okay? It is the soul's ground on which true sacrifice and worship can be done. So unless you have samatha, okay, you can't really worship the Lord in the right way. That's what he seems to be saying. The Lord is there equally in all beings. We have to make no essential distinction between ourselves and others. The wise and the ignorant, friend and enemy, man and animal, saint and sinner. This is the from the Gita. Okay, the reference is chapter 5, verse 18. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmani Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shwapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So the Pandita, the one who is really attained samatha, they are Samadarshina. They view all these things very, very equally. Okay. Those who are Brahmins, okay, those who are adorned with Vidya, knowledge and humility, or the cow, or the elephant, or the dog, okay, or the outcast. All these you look on them equally. Look on them equally means you are not affected by them at all. You look on them equally. It doesn't mean to say that you don't see the differences. You do see the differences, but you are not affected by them. And your behavior towards all will be the right behavior. Okay? Behavior also cannot be the same absolutely. It is a very subtle thing, samatha. It's not easy to understand. Very subtle. As I said, we give an interesting example. A mother has got 5 children. Okay, 3 are normal, 1 is lame and 1 is blind. Now she loves equally all of them. Okay, but will she, her behavior towards all the 5 be same? It cannot be. The blind needs more attention. The lame boy also needs more attention, but she loves all of them equally. So it's a very subtle thing. It's not very easy. And only experience will tell you that yes, now it is the real thing. Okay, it's 8:40. So we'll redo this next time. We got into a discussion about samatha. So this renunciation of attachment to the work, we'll redo next time. It's 8:40. So we stop here today. Okay. Au revoir, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Rangada.
Rangada.
Merci.